It's another episode of NRG Insights. So if you haven't heard it before, this is a podcast for anyone in the mortgage industry, whether that be broker, lender or partner, where we invite people on who have got some useful insights into the market and potentially influencing the market in their way and have something interesting to say. So on that, I have Harsha from Quantum Mortgages with me today. Thank you, Harsha, for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
So talk to me, let's start with, we might have to do the condensed version because you've been in the market a long time. But talk to me about your financial services journey to where you are now with Quantum.
Sure. Okay, so I started in a company called HFC Bank, believe it or not, doing seconds as a part-time job while I was at university. And as soon as I graduated, the branch manager said, would you like to do the management program? And I obviously just leaped at the chance. And that's how I got into the financial services, doing second charge mortgages and also some unsecured loans and stuff like that. And then it just grew from there. I guess the step into mortgages and that world, real first charge mortgages, was through State Bank of India, whereby I started there as BDM doing international investments for major companies around the world. And then they wanted to go into buy-to-let market in the UK, and I was part of that team to launch them into the market back when they started. That's how I started my career. Startups is basically my background, Marcus. So beginning of State Bank, I was there, stayed there for 4 years, and then got asked to join Metro Bank. Worked with Charlie Morley and his team for a couple of years at the beginning of Metro Bank's journey.
Metro Bank was cool, wasn't it? When Metro Bank started, it was cool. Like
really
they
cool.
took some of the best people from the best businesses. It was it's a machine now, it's a monster, but it was their recruitment. Looking at it from the outside in was incredible when they were building that team.
Yes, absolutely, and they did have a good team, and it was a great place to be because they did things quite differently, which I learned a lot from them, to be honest. And then from there, I got asked to join Bluestone Mortgages, and I was there at the beginning of their journey. Obviously, that's bulk of my career, 5 years over there. And that's where I really had a window of opportunity to look into the specialist world, and made good contacts and good relationships, and grew my career there. And then from there, I decided to take a career break, which of course you leave and then it never happens. So as soon as I left, thinking I'd take a lovely 6 months off, Jason and Neil reached out from Quantum Mortgages to say, look, we're starting a new lender. You've done 3, do you fancy doing one more? And here I am.
So we'll get into the Quantum Mortgages journey because it is really interesting given the kind of the timescales and stuff and the way the market's been. But so let's talk about startups, Harsha. What is it that's kind of attracted you to those and helping them kind of build those businesses, because it's not for everyone, right?
No, and it's not, and it's a tough thing to do. But for me, the attraction has always been being able to walk into any broker's office and say, guess what, I've got something new, and exploring a new vision, exploring new products, new criteria, and just something fresh. And all the startups that I've been involved with have always had a fresh and different approach, which I guess has helped mold my career as well, and helped me sort of understand sort of where the markets are going, what's new. I've been involved with creating products for demand and looking at gaps in the market and seeing if there's an opportunity for the lender that I'm with at the time to grow in that particular market. So it's always looking at that little gap that's there, or large gap, and filling it really with exciting new innovative products.
And like I said before, some people aren't keen on it, right? Some people like that, knowing exactly what the business is and that kind of thing. But what would you say are the kind of the benefits to you, especially career-wise, to have gone through that process of seeing that businesses start up and work through those first initial years with them?
I'd say knowledge is power to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I've been able to do, is increase my knowledge, increase my understanding. And every lender, I've learned something new. And I've learned something more about the mortgage market. And I've had some great management, that's basically taught me a lot throughout my career in the financial industry. So I'm like a bit of a sponge like that, Marcus. People show me new things and I just want to absorb the information and make it work. And actually, it's done wonders for my career, to be honest. So, yeah.
Do you know what? All the best leaders that I speak to in this, and I'm very privileged that I get to speak to lots of them doing this, and obviously my job, that they're always learning. I think that's really
Yes.
important. I think like you said, then you're a sponge still. Like you still get no one's the kind of the finished article. And I think good leaders really show that trait that they always need to learn something else, and they're always kind of moving forward.
Yeah. It's just like, what's next, and you know what our world is like. The mortgage industry and the whole economy, it never ever like stays the same for a long time. Something's always around the corner, and something always crazy is happening.
It would be
And
nice
if
to have a
you
little bit
can,
of stability.
yeah, it would be nice, but when was that? I can't even remember ever
No.
since COVID. Even
Do
I
you know
can't
what? Funnily
remember
enough, I
when
said to someone,
COVID.
I said, sorry, I interrupted again. I said to someone the other day, I always give the same kind of spiel that we're good in a challenging market, we're great in a tough market because we're very good at our jobs and it shines through and blah blah. And as I was saying, I was thinking, do you know what? I wouldn't mind like 3 or 4 easy months,
It'd be great.
just a little bit of just a bit of stability. But
Yeah,
I'm
and
so
I
used to
guess.
saying about the tough market that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, so I was going to say I'm so used to saying about the tough market that
Yeah.
actually I tend to forget that I quite enjoy a bit of an easy ride for a bit as well. Maybe grow some
Yeah,
hair back.
it is good, but also when I look back at the tough times, at the time it feels really tough, right? And everybody's pulling strings and everybody's trying to do things differently, to manage or even keep afloat or keep your business like sort of stable throughout all the craziness that's going on in the background. But when I look back and I look back at how we reacted or how we sort of navigated that period of time, I look back and I think, oh my God, we learned so much. And then you just become stronger for the next wave and then stronger for the next one. And then it becomes a point where actually you're feeling, okay, it's the new normal now and okay, what's next? So I think the education
Yeah.
piece and
Do you
the
feel
sponge
feel
piece
like as
fits
you've
into
obviously
that as
been
well.
through these? So, sorry, do you feel like where we've been through these kind of troughs before? Because or peaks and troughs rather, I do feel like sometimes we forget how tough it was. Like I will never forget how tough it was now, and I would always stick to my processes. Then it gets a bit easier. For instance,
Yeah.
I see brokers who go back to like I'm selling loads of protection now. The second the market gets a bit better, and they're like, I'll never give that up, and then they just go, I don't need to do it as much now. Do you think we do have an element of like we always kind of slip back into our ways when it gets easier? When we need to kind of, it'd be great if we could bottle that feeling to remind you how hard it was when it was hard, but
Yeah.
we do tend to slip off again.
I don't know. See, for me and the businesses that I've been involved with, there's never been a time where you slip back into. There's never been a time where you just go back and get relaxed. And if anything,
Yeah,
we're more cautious. So every lender that I've been with, I mean, listen, Marcus, I've been I've been in the industry for 20 odd years, right? And I'm not that old. I
yeah,
started
yeah,
very young. Let's get that clear. So, um, but I've seen like the market crash for so many different reasons. I mean, when 9/11 happened, I was at the start of my career, and I saw that
yeah,
completely overhaul. We've gone through COVID. I saw furlough. I saw the Liz Trust era. All of those
yeah,
times, and it just made us think even more, or myself think even more, that right, you've got to be prepared now. And things like insurances and things like being prepared, or even gearing your business up as a lender to make sure that you are fully prepared for the next wave, whatever that may be. You know what that looks
yeah.
like. You
It's
know
hard to
how to
prep for
keep
that, whatever that may be, mustn't it?
say again.
It's very difficult to prepare for something we don't. It's very hard to prepare for
It
something
is.
we don't know what's happening. We know something will always invariably happen that will cock up our really nice bit,
Yeah,
but we
no
don't know what
rest.
it is. No.
I mean, who would have thought about a virus
So
shutting down the whole country, right? It's just crazy. You're never going to be able to
it's
judge
nuts,
that.
isn't it? It's nuts when you look back now, thinking you remember that year when we sat in our house. Um, it's a strange time for me because our clients were all busy, like you guys were busy. Everyone was
Yeah,
busy, but actually recruitment was really tough because no one had ever employed someone working from home. So they were just functioning at getting people to work from home and get the processes in place. So although
yeah,
our clients were busy and we were always there for them, the kind of a helping hand or whatever they needed, it was a weird time for us because everyone around us was busy, but actually they didn't really need us because they were just trying to work out how they worked. We didn't know what the new normal was going to look like.
yeah. It's crazy. There's a new word, new
It was
normal.
yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So talk to me. Let's go into like the quantum side of things then, because I do think it's interesting because you're a relatively new lender, aren't you? So tell me about the journey from kind of inception to where you are now.
So, I think that the inception date was about October 2021, and then we got our offices in sunny Milton Keynes. Decided to go there with some nice fields and car parks instead of central London,
Yeah.
which is great. And then I was literally walked in and started sort of prepping for launch. So that was January 2022. And then we did a soft launch, limited distribution in March. Still paper-based by that time. But, you know, after your fourth launch, you've seen it all, right? So I was like, yeah, paper fine, let's just go. Don't need a computer.
Do you think that's important, actually? I know I won't carry on. Do you think
Yeah.
that kind of option one being better than option none, just like get it out there,
Oh,
started, we
yeah,
can
yeah.
fix the bugs?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm like a kid at Christmas, right? If I've got a new product, I want to be out just like unwrapping it. Here you go, guess what I've got.
Yeah.
So I don't care if it's paper-based applications. And actually, to be fair, the people that we were working with were really, really helpful, saying, look, we'll help you test it. We'll go paper, it's fine.
Yeah.
Bless them, they were there with their pens filling out these applications. And that only lasted about a month. And then obviously we got our systems in play and we went full market launch in May 2022.
Wow.
Um,
So it's quick moving.
yeah,
Do you think, just in regards to that, do you think there's like, you know, we talk about paralysis by analysis, where you want to make everything perfect at the beginning, but obviously you move so quickly through that, probably because you just got out there, right? You just got your
That's
product
it.
done, picked your people who you needed to do it first, and then got busy.
Absolutely. I mean, like we get really excited about new things, and we sort of just get on with it, and then clear up mess later. And it's always worked. Thank God. No, touch wood. So Jason's very much like that. Our MD and co-founder of Quantum. He's very much like, I love that idea. You know, let's look into it. Let's do some research, and then we crack on, and then whatever happens later, we'll clean it up. But it's proven to be successful. Look, you know, we're in a really, really strong position now, and disrupting the market as far as I can see. So it's good.
Yeah. Good. And so, sorry, I interrupted again. Apologies, as it says at the beginning.
All right.
I'll constantly do it. Otherwise, I forget what I'm going to say. But
Sure.
so we got to May 2022. Got the kind of the products out there. So where are we? How did we get from there to here?
So then we just carried on sort of banging the drum about brand awareness and what we're about and where we're plugging the gaps. I mean, at the beginning, obviously, it's always going to be tough trying to convince brokers that are used to certain lenders, you know, and people do get comfortable to try and.
Do you know, brokers are set in their ways, aren't they? And there's hundreds of lenders.
Sometimes,
So especially on the specialist side of things, it's how do you combat that when you're a new lender? What can you do? Because there's only so much you can do with rates and stuff.
Yeah, it's all about relationships, Marcus. At the end of the day, you know, if you can walk into a firm and they go, Harsha, right, what have you got today? You know, because they know how you work as a person. So people by people, right? We know this for a fact. So then the conversation is about, you know, how we can provide a solution for a complex case. For an example, I never ever talk about rates. I never ever do. If anybody says to me, "What are your rates today at 5 year?" Like, I don't know, Marcus, because I don't talk about rates, right? What I talk about is
What you can help them
providing
with.
we're hot on providing a solution to a complex situation with a client. So this is where you're got brokers completely like looking at a situation, thinking, where do I start? Where do I finish? We are there. My sales team and I are there to guide the broker to say, look, this is the solution. This is how we overcome this. I mean, there's so much going on in the buy-to-let world. Landlords are getting so much more creative, which is fine. But then can the lenders keep up with that creativity? Yeah, because the single unit market is huge and was huge, but actually it's not shifting. It's like stuck. And then brokers are looking at sort of clients with high yielding rentals or equity or in the property or whatever it is. So they become like creative in terms of splitting titles on completion, for an example, or looking at vulnerable tenants or things like that. So, you know, it's really, really important that you just stay on top of your game and provide solutions. So relationships is key, because if you've got strong relationships, you can walk in there and go, I can solve that problem. And then when you can solve that problem, you go on to the next complex case and you just keep building. That's how we go about things.
Nice. And how is it? Do you think it's benefited you, the fact that you come in to a relatively tricky market and that you're small enough to pivot?
Yeah,
because obviously, if you were quite set in your ways and this is how we do business, it must have been a tough time. I mean, it's a tough time for everyone. It must have been, or is it? You tell me. Was it easier, or do you think it was, is it equally as tough for everyone?
This is going to sound really crazy, but I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed the challenge.
Yeah.
You know, it's fresh, it's new. It is pushing you to your limits. It is pushing you to
Yeah.
become a little bit more creative and think like a human being rather than a computer says no.
Yeah.
And that creativity is great because at Quantum, you know, we listen to feedback from the market, and we always do that, and we react on that feedback, and we provide even better solutions or improve as a business and evolve along with the clients as they're evolving, because it's the pace of change is rapid.
And how do you get that through as a business? I'm interested in like the leadership levels, if you like, because obviously creativity is amazing. That's what businesses thrive on. But it's very tough sometimes with levels of management and that kind of thing. So how as a business are you kind of, obviously getting the feedback from the clients is the main thing, but how do you adopt that creativity? How does that work through the kind of the business as a whole to get to these solutions?
We keep it simple. It's as simple as that. So we're a centralized organisation. We're not a hierarchy organisation whatsoever, and we like to see that. So, you know, for any one of my BDMs to walk into the office, or somebody from broker support, they wanted to, you know, have coffee, they'll be standing next to the MD. It's not a problem, right? So it's not a glass door or anything like that. So what we do is we have creative sessions where, you know, board directors attend, MD attends, they listen to the BDMs, they listen to focus groups, they listen to feedback from the market, and as a collective, as a group, we then go, right, there's the situation, there's the market, this is what's happening, this is the shift. What can we do to become creative and resolve that? And it works both ways. So it works for the business that we're involved with, works for the market, and, you know, we gain more market share. That's how we keep it centralized. That's it. And everyone's voice is heard. Nice. And that's really important.
I think obviously on the creativity side, that's kind of a leave your ego at the door type thing when it comes to management, right? Because if everyone's got an opinion, I mean, obviously you've got to have a decision maker. You know, and so how's it been for you? Obviously, like I said, I know it's very difficult to gauge how much of a market share you can take, because in a tough market, you're obviously going to grow because you're new, right? But how is it? How do you gauge how much?
Market,
exactly. Shrinking market, you're growing, so it's very difficult to gauge it. But how do you gauge that as a business?
How do we gauge it? So our business plans, basically, we set out our business plans and our 3-year sort of focus from the very, very beginning. But at that time, funny enough, the market was a lot larger, right? January 2020, you rewind back to January
so your
2022.
your business plan must have changed a hell of a lot from that truss effect.
It actually hasn't. That's the weird thing.
Is it not? It stayed the same. It's like this is still we're good because obviously it changed the market.
So the business plan was against January 2022. So the market was a lot larger, and then we sort of, like, as you do in your first 12 months, we're finding our feet. Then come year 2, last year, January, that's when it all started really like picking up. And then towards the end of last year, it was then Liz Trust era. And then we still navigated that and stayed really, really still, and still did some decent levels of business. Don't ask me how, but we did. And that's, again, our relationships and our
that's the whole point about
and
pivoting and being creative and new and that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and keeping ahead of the curve.
You can get a bigger chunk of the market.
Yeah, that's it. So, and then we carried on with the same business plan. So the market shrunk. Our business plan's the same, and we're delivering way over our business plan. So that tells me then that I am growing in my market share, and I'm grabbing a little bit more than.
Yeah, you're doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So where do you see the kind of? I mean, obviously we can't talk about where we see the future because no one knows. But how do you see the buy-to-let market kind of bouncing back? Do you think it's going to be? Do you think it'll take that long once we kind of stabilised a little bit, or how do you see the market?
I'm going to start off by saying this is my personal opinion. So,
I
don't know which way it's going to swing, but from what I'm seeing a shift in the type of client. So I'm seeing your accidental landlords, people that were gifted, by grandparents' properties. I'm seeing those people slowly step away and sort of deciding that actually this is not for me, because with all the rules and regs involved and taxation and everything else of being a landlord, those people are actually not really interested. That's what I'm feeling in the market, and they're sort of offloading their properties, and then your more serious landlords are then stepping up and being creative. So I've seen a lot of cases where landlords have taken a single unit house with lots of rooms in it, turned it into an MEB or a HMO, and just getting more creative. So I'm seeing your more serious landlords that are actually doing this for a living, increasing their portfolios and growing that way. So whereas one part of the market is sort of depleting, it's actually being absorbed by your more serious landlords, and that's where I see it
By
going.
the thinking landlords of the creative landlords.
Correct, yeah, and to stay in with those landlords, you have to be as creative as them. Obviously, your business risk has got to be balanced and everything else, and you've got to look at your book and your spreads. But staying ahead of the curve with those landlords and looking at the trends and understanding actually, is this your new need? Is this your new want? Is this where you're seeing your future? Because there's different aspirations for landlords, and being with them in their journey is really, really important. So let's see what happens there.
I suppose that's the same for any business, right? It just gets keeping in front of what your clients need. Same for us in recruitment when we speak to brokers or lenders. We have to know what you're doing to really understand where you're going to be. Much the same with you guys. It's just about knowing your client. How do you do it? Because obviously, do you get to speak to the landlord side of things as well, or is it kind of through the brokers, or how do you get enough feedback?
So we do a mixture of things, and I've done that deliberately. I always want to hear what the end user feels like. I always want to know, what is my end user? Because we're 100% intermediary, as most people are in our world.
Yeah.
So we rarely get a chance to
It's
speak
difficult,
to
isn't it? The people that you're pleasing aren't actually your customer. Like your
Correct.
customer journey is the broker's customer, isn't it? Yeah.
So what we've done in our last 2 years is we've actually participated in the landlord investment shows and actually done cluster meetings with landlords. Created our own personal meetings through our BDMs to say one broker firm, all right, let's do an event with you and you only. So we have a panel, and we have us, we have the broker firm, we have the brokers' landlords attend, and then we just spread out and spread the information and just do cluster meetings like that. So we get to actually feel and understand and educate ourselves around the end user from their mouths. Because of course, also, if an end user is telling the broker X, Y, and Z, by the time that message gets to you, there's something else involved.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
So hearing it from the horse's mouth is really, really important.
And I suppose from the broker's point of view, that actually their customer journey is between them and the client. So they're probably not going to be as thorough with feedback to you on the customer's journey because it's maybe not as relevant to them. So I suppose you have to find that bridge of, obviously brokers will help you as much as possible when it comes to product. And your services, if something's not right, of course you'll know about it. But the bits that you're good at, I don't suppose you get much feedback on that because that's just expected. So it's always good to hear back from the landlords.
Yeah, so we make an active effort to go out and we're not listening just to for how they're feeling and stuff. It's also what do you need? The only problem we've got there in those situations is when the broker, the client goes back to the broker and said, "Why are you not using quantum?" That's the only. And then the broker's on the phone going, "How have you got to speak to my client? I met them at the landlord investment show. I'm really sorry. Yeah, would you like to register?" So it is a funny game.
And I know you said there, mentioned you used the words a couple of times how they're feeling. Obviously, your decisions have to be quite data driven as well. So how do you go from how landlords are feeling, if you like, to actually the hard data of what they need? Because obviously all landlords want cheaper rates and they want you to be more flexible and that kind of thing. But how do you turn that into data-driven decisions? Because most landlords will tell you how they're feeling.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a good one because obviously we crossed over into that period of the ones and the twos and everything was beautiful, with the rates.
Yeah, lovely, yeah.
And then now, you've got a fiver as a handle and you're just thinking, okay. So we went through that transition in terms of educating, and that's the word, right? It's educating. So our board director, Gordon Bande, one of the board directors, he's in capital markets, and he educates me and my sales team all the time in terms of what's happening in the economy, the worldwide economy, the swap rates. How does something affect a swap rate? For an example, why are petrol prices going down? Why is the cost of food, cost of food going up? All of that stuff, and then he basically explains as to how it's affecting the economy. Even like this whole general election thing, how that's affecting the swaps, because we know swaps have been really, really volatile, right? So my
Yeah.
BDM team will take that information, and so will I, and then we will actually educate the end user at our. So they'll say, "Oh no, you're too expensive," and I'm like, "Okay, so I've got a solution for you, which probably somebody else cannot give to you. So why are we expensive? Okay, so this is how our model is. We're a securitized lender. The swaps are here because of this reason. The rates are here because," and then they'll go, "But Bank of England are going to drop, or they're going to freeze, and why don't you follow?" But then swaps are different animal to the Bank of England, so a lot of people would not know that, right? So you take the feeling and you educate it, and then you bring people on board in terms of actually look at the wider picture, and this is where we are, and we're never going to, I don't think anyway, we're never going to go back to the ones and twos. Marcus is, I think that was
Unfortunately,
a bit of a
well, maybe our children will be on a podcast talking about 0.5%, but yeah, not in my career, I don't think. It's interesting you say about the education side of things, like, because we talked about this when the market fell apart, that there were brokers, and more so brokers than on the lending side, but very much very vocal on social media and that kind of thing about the problems with lenders.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, I'm not an expert in the capital markets, but I understand how money works. So I understand why people need to pull rates, and I understand why, because you're literally making a loss on that the next day. So I understand that. And I think it kind of baffled me that there was a lot of, and I do think it's something to do with the bar, and this isn't all brokers. We work with amazing brokers that understand why they're doing it, and they can relay that back to their customers. I do think there's a big section of the market that were a bit clueless as to what happened, why things were happening. So I think not just educating the end user, but there was a case of educating a fair amount of brokers as to we're not just trying to get more money out of you.
Yeah, we educate brokers all the time, and in my BDM teams as well. They're some of them are fairly new, and they'll go in and they'll go, "Harsh, I'm really scared for saying these rates," and I was like, "Don't talk about rates. You talk about the solution, and you educate the broker, and you say to them, okay, fine, you can look at sourcing systems, and you've got a complex case. How does that complex case fit into that sourcing system? How do we fit into the complex case? So it's all about educating as many people as we touch, basically. We're walking, talking.
I think that's really important. I think complex brokers get it.
Yeah.
Because they understand it isn't much the same as if you're in commercial, right? You understand it's not rate, it's deliverability, it's making that solution for your customer. If you're speaking to someone who's just stepped into your market and they've worked on Santander have the best interest rate, like that's a massive education piece, isn't it? Because they kind of have to understand the market a bit more. And I do think as well as the market got tighter, people are trying to do more, getting a bit more business than they had before. So they'll kind of try anything. Have you found that you're not just speaking to specialists now, you're speaking to everyone. So there is a case of having to do a bit more education as to what that market looks like. Yeah,
without a doubt. I mean, anybody that walks around and saying, first of all, I don't have those type of customers, and I've worked in the adverse world, right? Or actually, I don't deal with that. Actually, is there a case that's straightforward these days? Not really.
COVID we also know about the vanilla cases. What are they? Yeah.
Yeah, COVID massively influenced that. Lots of things happening in the world influenced that. So for me, most of it is majority of complex, and then you get the really heavy complex. So you will see brokers now thinking, okay, I've done this all my life, and actually now I need to really look into the complex side of things, because actually there's so many more specialist lenders out there now than there were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and the market's growing, and it seems to be shifting more into the specialist side than the plain vanilla side, which everybody has had the benefit of for a few decades, really.
And do you know what? That is a big learning point as well, because I think the easiest thing to be said is swallowed up. I don't think the complex market and the commercial market, that kind of thing, will be swallowed up by like AI and everything happening remotely. However, if you are a vanilla case broker,
it might be.
You're having to show a lot more what you do for your money, because there are products out there that are potentially taking away a big chunk of your market. So I think it's just proper broking again, right? It's just actually being a broker. It's not just order taking. You've got to learn it. You've got to learn your market. Yeah.
Having a real decent conversation. Say again, sorry.
I think that's amazing for the market as well, though. It was funny if we're doing a video this morning about it, and I said, like, it all seems a bit bullshitty when we say, like, it makes a tougher market, makes better people, but it genuinely does, because the ones that aren't interested in learning will 100% fall by the wayside. The ones that aren't interested in doing the best thing for the customer, trying to make a quick buck, do fall by the wayside. So I think in this tighter market where everyone's got to learn the complex stuff and actually be better, I don't think it's the end of the world if we can take a positive out of it.
I was at an event yesterday and I saw a few brokers that I used to work with, and I said, "Oh, I'm surprised to see you here," because it was a bridging and commercial event in Birmingham.
NACFB one yesterday.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so I just walked around just to see who's doing what, and we weren't exhibiting, but it was good to see. So I saw these brokers, and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" Because I've never known them to actually look at
To do it,
a
yeah.
bridge. And I've always done residential, and I've known them from my past lenders, and they were like, "Harsh, seriously, we've got to move with the times. Look at what's going on here."
Amen.
And I've known them for years doing just your vanilla or a little bit adverse residential cases. I would never have pitched them to do bridging commercial and they were literally saying to me, and quite a fair few of them, that we're here to learn because we need to know what's happening, what other options are available, and actually, do we need to look at our client bank and do we need to say to them, these options are available, or actually fish in other ponds where they can grow their business themselves by doing more of this stuff. So it was interesting.
I think fair play to those brokers as well, though, because there's going to be loads that don't want to learn it because they've had it easy, and they're going to find it tough. So fair play to the ones that have seen the problem in the market. Like the thing that we did the easy thing that we did is no longer going to make us enough money.
That's right.
We need to look at other things because it's too easy to be set in our ways, isn't it? Especially if you're doing it a long time. You're so used to it. You think that client bank, because that client bank's just going to get smaller if you're not moving with the times.
Yes, absolutely. And the AI stuff might kick in. You never know.
Yeah.
With playing.
Yeah, and also, like you say, there's money to be made on commercial. There's money to be made on complex. There is. The real reason you need a broker is because things are too difficult to take to your bank manager.
Yes.
So that's where we stand, isn't it? That's what. It's
What's
the same,
one of those?
same for us.
I
The market's
remember
easy and everyone can find the best people.
Yeah.
Sorry, say again.
I said, what's one of those? A bank manager? I've not seen one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. But it's the same for everyone, right? If you're not learning and you're not growing,
You're right.
This market will chew you up.
That's it. And if you don't, and the newer generation as well, their wants and needs are so different, and you don't stay ahead of what they're thinking and what they're and people do grow, and I've seen brokers saying, okay, now I'm not doing that client's mortgages, I'm doing his son or his grandson or granddaughter, and that is shifting. So the wants of those generations compared to your first off person, it's going to be a hell of a lot polar different to what they're used to. So yeah,
I think that rolls back kind of nicely to what you said at the beginning about why you're very good at the startup side of things, is because you have to constantly be learning. And the second we stop, whether that be what you're doing with startups or actually just whatever job you're doing, if you stop learning, I know I always revert back to recruitment because that's what I know, but recruitment is different now than it was 4 years ago. It was different then 4 years before that, and it's completely different from when I started. So if I was still doing the same thing I was doing, I'd be non-existent. You've got to be learning all the time.
I take that analogy of I look at a lot of different businesses in terms of the people that didn't learn and didn't evolve and didn't say move with technology. Because look, let's face it, right? Technology has a massive role to play in every business in the world, and there's lots of large labels that had to shut shop because they refused to move. With the time. So if you can see those giants...
What Blockbuster were offered Netflix?
Yeah, I didn't want to say, I didn't know whether I was allowed to say any names, but...
Yeah. It doesn't matter, they're not here. They've gone.
Yeah, but they used to sit there and go, no, it's never going to work, people still want to do this, people still want to come in. No, they don't. They just sit at home in their own comfort and they've changed their mindset. Blockbusters was a massive...
The other one that I think is more bizarre than Netflix is that Kodak, who also went pop, invented the digital camera.
Yeah.
They invented the digital camera and then said, this is going to wipe us out, so we'll just put it to one side. But because otherwise we'll never send any film again. And then they were on pop. But they started that technology, but they put it to the wayside. It's lunacy, isn't it, that you can't see the market change.
And I fear that. I do fear that. And that's why I'm always making sure that I'm learning, my team are learning. We're always asking relevant questions. If we are seeing a trend in the market, we're not only on the phone to our capital markets, Gautam Bande, going, what do you know and what's the insight and stuff and what's the intel telling you? We, as a team, collectively, we always stick together and go, right, what is the best way to approach the situation, or which is the best way to provide the solution? So, education is really key, really, really key.
Absolutely. There'll be something about that in the title of this. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I think learning is
education.
Learning is something we've got all the way through it. Yeah. No, and 100%, and it makes sense. Just in regards to the tech side of things, though, how I know you said obviously you started paper-based at the beginning, but how's tech changing things for you? From what you've seen, obviously in your career, would be interesting. But how is tech changing? Are we embracing it properly? And how do you see that kind of changing the way we do business?
It's important for a specialist lender to use technology in the right way. Okay, and I'm a real strong believer in that. So you can't use technology in our world as a specialist lender to make decisions. That's got to be a human approach, right? But we use technology to enhance our business. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I think the advice bit and the manual underwriting bit shouldn't go away, really. But the way in which we use advanced technology to enhance the journey of the customer and user or the broker is by systems, is by things like open banking, things like your ID checks. There's so many different like packages out there, AI out there that can do your KYC, for an example. Open banking is phenomenal. That's been floating around for the last 5 years. But if everyone adopts that, then you get rid of paper statements. I mean, I don't have paper statements sent to my home address anymore. Everything is on my phone, right? No. Or on email.
You know what's funny? Actually, my 13-year-old just got his first paper statement, and I said, "You're the only one in this house that actually gets a bank statement." He's 13, and it was like £6, and I thought, do they really be presenting this?
It's crazy. So, but I get it, because when we present that, we do open banking to some clients. They're like, no. Here's 3-month statements, but how long is that going to last? So if you have to stay ahead of that as well. Yeah, you have to embrace it, because it's going to be crazy if you don't, because then you're going to come out with, there's some platforms out there that are kicking out offers within a few days or the same day. And how are they doing that? They're doing that by using technology and using the power of open banking and the power of, getting that information.
It still needs to be checked by a human, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
All this stuff needs to be done.
You still have a 4-hour check. Yeah. So we always have a 4-hour check on everything that we do. But we use technology in the right way, but we do not use technology to sort of make a decision or a tick box exercise lender or anything like that. It is a mixture of absorbing the technology, using it within our business, and then having that human touch as well.
Do you know, we're the same in regards to, I think in recruitment, we're the same as you. We're relationship focused. That's it. That's the be all and end all of a relationship. And I don't believe an AI machine can take over that part of my business where I look someone in the eye, tell them it's going to be all right, or tell them we can help, or whatever it is. But what it has done is it's really streamlined the efficiencies in the background of the stuff that people don't see. Mm-hmm. And the benefit of that is I get to spend 12 hours a day doing the thing I'm good at, which is speaking to customers and making decisions on that and actually consulting on business. And I don't think AI can consult either. I don't think it can give you even their opinion on the market that it's been 20 years. I mean, things are changing. So don't forget, it's the worst it's ever going to be. These things will get better. But I genuinely think for us as well, it's taken away all of our admin. But I don't make money out of admin anyway. I make money out of speaking to people. The candidate team make money out of talking to candidates. So, and AI isn't stopping that. It's just increasing the fact that we don't have to write notes anymore or stuff like that. It's embracing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, and you tend to enjoy work a little bit more when you don't have to do that much admin and you're out there doing the best you can, being the best person that you are, because you're enjoying doing that, because that's where your skill set lie, right? So that's what we're doing. We're letting the sales do the sales and the admin stuff, and a little bit that we could tidy up and it's laborious. We're using AI to solve that for us. That's
100% the bits in it. Anything that's process driven and doesn't affect the customer and it's just easy, 100%. Tech that stuff up. But it doesn't stop us shaking hands, does it? It doesn't stop us going out and seeing our clients.
Absolutely.
Good. I did say I'll take you for 30 minutes, so I just wanted I did want to touch on the leadership side of things. So you mentioned before you've had really good management and you've come up nicely through the leadership ladder through your kind of career. What advice can you give to people who are potentially where you were a few years ago, looking to go up the ladder of leadership, looking to get into that management side of things? What's been kind of pivotal in your career to get you above perhaps your peers that have never moved that far up the ladder?
Okay, some of my peers actually have. It's nice to see.
Some of them. Nice to see.
For me,
I didn't mean that.
How do I approach that question? For me, I would say there's a few things, right? So the few things that I did, I was never afraid to give feedback back to the business. if we were doing something wrong, whichever lender it was, I was never afraid to say, look, guys, this is not working for the broker. This is not working for the clients. Because a lot of people will hold back and say, or make excuses to the broker, don't worry about it. It's just a blip or it's a mistake. Or, if you're seeing a trend, you should record it. You should record those trends and you should feedback so that your business can learn from your knowledge and your experience and try and help you fix that. So your journey then improves. The other thing is education. Again, always learn about, why did I not win that business? What was there that we weren't able to sort of capture? If we lost business to somebody else, what did they do better than what we were doing? And providing that information back to your business. But just being vocal and making sure that you are, keeping ahead of the curve in terms of what's happening in the economy, what's happening within your own business, who your competitors are, and feeding back is so, so important. And I guess that's where my voice was heard and I was allowed to then contribute in designing products, and then those products were successful in my career throughout the time. And then also people, recognizing you through some posts. I mean, LinkedIn is really important, having a presence there. What type of presence is up for debate. I'm always sort of like,
We can talk about that for hours.
Let's not go there. But I'm always sort of like, I like to look at LinkedIn to learn again. And I like to, so when my team are doing LinkedIn posts, I'll get them to do criteria based, for an example. I don't really like, all right, I'm visiting or I'm having a whatever, So education is key. So educate yourself, be aware of the market, and feed back as much information to your senior management team as possible, because that's when they'll recognize that actually the information that you are delivering as a BDM or a key account manager or a national account manager is important to your business. And then they take your feedback and they evolve. And when they evolve and they become better, they understand where that started and finished, basically. And that's how I.
That makes sense, doesn't it? If you kind of kept to yourself at the beginning and didn't want to, if you kind of you didn't want to ruffle any feathers or that kind of thing, and you were just comfortable with it, that never impresses, does it? It never increases, or it never makes any change. So you're never going to put your head above the parapet.
That's it. And also your relationships with your brokers is so, so important. You must become part of their world, and you must become part of their firm. I mean, there's a couple of firms that I was known to have a chair and a mug, for an example, ready for me in the firm with my last lender, right? So I used to walk in and I had a mug with my name on it. And I had my own desk, and they were like, oh yeah, cool, she's back. Or if I didn't turn up for 1 week, they'll be like, where are you? You feel office feels a bit weird, you're not here.
That's the magic, right? That's the same in our business, just about being partners. Like you're a partner of your client, aren't you? You're not just seen as that person that turns up with donuts. Like you're adding value, and you're part of the furniture. But you know what I mean? You're in there, like you say. Like we want to be in depth with everyone and understand the business and that kind of thing. You can't just be
it's all about collaboration.
Transactional.
Yeah, collaboration is key, really, really key. And then if you can bring that relationship back and say to your lender, as a BDM, that look, this company was here. I've worked with them for 6 months now. They're here. That also grows confidence in the management team as well, to say, actually, there's a difference between sort of account management and then sales, where you just walk in and go, how many cases have you got in a desk? Or you walk in and go, what's bugging you, what's the complex, or that's the beauty of specialist lending, is that you don't have to talk about volume, you talk about complexity, and you talk about problem solving, and you have decent conversations, and then that broker feels more empowered to go back out to their customer and go, actually, here's a decent solution for you. So that's the bit that I really enjoyed.
Amazing. Good. Thank you very much. Like I said, I took you for longer than I said I would, but that's always the case. But obviously, all of your socials will be on our systems. But if anyone wants to get hold of you, Harsha, or anyone wants to talk to anyone at Quantum, what's the best way to speak to you?
Email, usually, because I'm in and out of so many meetings, it's crazy. So if you send me an email, I'm able to get back to you within the same day. If you phone me, more the chances of me picking up the phone straight away is because my world is so much more different now to being a BDM. But email's the best way.
Amazing. And again, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I hope that's given some decent insights to people into the market, and obviously into the startup side of things as well. I think it's really interesting. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much, everyone listening and watching. Again, this is another episode of NRG Insights. All of Harsha's socials and all of Quantum's socials will be on our socials. So if you want to get in contact with anyone there, feel free to go through those channels. And I'll speak to you soon, Harsha. Thank you very much.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.